Hello everyone, welcome back to ArxangelRC. Today I have an absolutely outstanding plane to show you, and it is none other than the new ZOHD Dart XL Extreme FPV Cruiser. And I do have to stress the word cruiser for a very good reason, but we'll get to that in due time. Out of the box, this plane is just a jewel to marvel at. It just looks so good, and there is so much detail to its build that I almost didn't want to fly it so as not to risk damaging it, which I did eventually, and again, more on that later. The attention to detail of this model is truly amazing, and it is simply beautiful, just beautiful. I have been told that this plane has actually been designed by an actual airplane designer, and having flown it, I am willing to believe that. As of this moment, the Dart XL only comes as a plug-and-play set, so you pretty much got everything installed and set up in the factory, and all you have to do is take it out of the box, put it together, which takes exactly 1 minute as everything snaps together very quickly, and add your own battery and receiver. Now, if you want to also add some FPV gear, autopilots, etc., it will take a bit more time, but if you want it in the air fast, it is doable and the plane will not disappoint. I do have a bone to pick with ZOHD though. They've made an outstanding model, but just look at this image and tell me if you see something wrong with it. Well, can you see it? Or actually, I should say, what is missing here? I will tell you what, it is proper plastic hinges, and if your answer was the same, then I guess you have been a loyal subscriber for quite some time now, for which I am truly grateful, and have been paying attention when I've been rambling about this again and again regarding so many other models. But not a big deal, the plane is not too heavy, so I will fly it like this for the time being, and let's see what happens. But I do hope ZOHD will add some proper hinges soon. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on the build. For that, you can follow the link in the video description to my blog, where you can read the whole story in a lot of detail, but I'm going to mention that the Nano Talon just lost its autopilot privileges on account of the Dart XL, and I do not regret it. The mini pics just went to the better plane. I pretty much moved all of the electronics over as they were, except for the camera and video transmitter. On the Dart XL, I used the AKK X2 Ultimate video transmitter with the 1.2 watt power option, and I actually decided to mount two cameras, the Runcam Split 2S and the new Runcam 3S. Since they both can serve the same function and would be looking at the same thing, I decided to get the FPV video out of the Split and to only provide external power to the Runcam 3S. Oh yeah! And I also built a new 4S2P lithium-ion battery using Sony Conyon VCT6 high discharge cells, so the capacity of the battery is just over 6000 mAh, while the weight is just under 400 grams and can sustain at least 40 amps of continuous draw. Should work wonders for this plane. So, after stuffing all of this in there and making a complete mess of things, which is what happens when you spend 2 hours at this rather than a full day, the Dart XL was indeed ready for flight, and I certainly was excited to see it in the air. Programming the ESC to enable the brake was quite easy using the provided instructions, and it will definitely help save that prop on landings. For the maiden takeoff, I even did a live cast on Facebook, so some of you already know how that went, and those that don't, well, you better hit that like button on there so you can be notified next time I do a live cast or post anything, which happens almost daily. Now, back to flying, and with the help of a friend, the Dart XL was well on its way to the skies with a calm and very well-mannered takeoff, which really did surprise me quite a bit. Granted, this was an exceptionally calm day, and even so, I was quite impressed by how smooth this plane would fly and how good it looked in the air. Looked absolutely solid and locked in, and did not feel like a plane that doesn't have an active rudder. What can I say? The Dart XL seemed to be living up to the big promises that ZOHD were throwing around. Naturally, as soon as I was done with a little trimming, can you guess what happened? That's right, a stall test, or should I say an attempt for one, that yielded absolutely no results. No matter what I did, and we're talking manual mode here, this plane just refused to lose speed and tip stall. As soon as the speed would drop a bit, it would nose down and pick it up again, wouldn't even go into a turn that would loosely resemble a stall. Suffice it to say, after this, my confidence in this plane skyrocketed, but keep something in mind. This is a DOS docile flyer, a cruiser. It will not fare well if you try to do proximity flying with it, so please fly it wisely so you don't end up being disappointed with a crashed plane. Seriously though, I did try to stall it a lot. No luck. So I played around with it, full up elevator and enough throttle to keep altitude, and it would go around the flying field for hours, especially with that lithium-ion pack. Actually, I'm pretty certain the plane would fly absolutely fine with a 4S 3P pack, which should weigh around 600 grams, but it will be just over 9,000 milliamp hours and will definitely get it very close to the 90-minute mark in terms of flight times, which is darn impressive for a 1-meter model. The stock motor does have a good amount of thrust, but at 1,280 grams for my current build, the thrust in excess is not enough to give the plane an unlimited vertical, and it is no speed demon either, but it is enough to get some impressive climb rates just in case you need to catch up to those clouds fast. When it comes to landings, it does come in quick, but with the proper approach and a flare at the last moment, everything is smooth as silk. Now, remember what I said at the start about not wanting to fly it so I don't crash it? Well, I have to admit to something. I managed to crash it, twice even, and I have to say the plane fared pretty well through all of that. First time was while making low passes for some nice shots and I completely forgot about the bush on my right, so I flew the plane straight at it. Sadly, there wasn't enough time for it to pull up, and upon hitting the branches, the prop actually unscrewed itself while the plane did a very spectacular flat spin, overshooting the hole after the bush and landing safely on the other side. Thanks to those plastic guards on the leading edges, there was no damage to speak of other than the lost lock nut, since I also recovered the prop. After that, I installed an APC 9x6E pusher prop, and it will no longer be able to unscrew itself in a similar situation. Next incident was during a takeoff attempt where I wanted to spare my fingers and thought I'd throw the plane while holding it by the wing. A very bad idea indeed. In addition to throwing it weird, I had also forgotten to screw in the rear hatch, and naturally that got chewed up in the process, and I'm only glad the prop didn't hit any of the electronics on it. The dart ended up with a broken piece from one of the wings and a crack on that same wing, but that really wasn't going to stop me. This plane had a very special mission to complete and then go to the top of the mountain just to prove it can. After a quick patch-up job, I decided to throw it the way it was meant to be thrown, and wouldn't you know it, a perfect takeoff, and it was on its way. After getting the special mission done, and it turned out pretty good if I might add, somebody is gonna be happy, I headed for the mountaintop and arrived there in almost no time. The AKK X2 Ultimate was set to 600 milliwatts, sporting a GEP RC pagoda antenna, and on the ground I had the triple feed patch array, and my video was absolutely perfect. The R9mm receiver also had plenty of RSSI left, and at that altitude conditions were pretty calm, so I just enjoyed the view and the smoothness of the plane and marveled at the fact that a penny-sized receiver with its stock antenna, half of which was behind the battery, can give me so much range. The R9M module was on 200 milliwatts, but then again I shouldn't be surprised. The L9R receiver is on 2.4 GHz with only 100 milliwatt output for the radio, but it is able to reach that same peak as well, so I actually should expect more out of the R9 system with this receiver. Anyway, from there on it was just an amazing flight after an amazing flight, and even though the mini pics still had the nanotalent PIDs, which are far from optimal for this plane, the Dart XL flew absolutely perfectly every time, though I will give autotune a try at some point when I'm not in a hurry to chase clouds. But you know what? I'm going to stop talking now and let you just enjoy some flight footage compilation. I'm sure you can make up your own mind, but personally I'm absolutely in love with this plane, and I have a feeling it will see a lot more action in the coming months. The only issue I have with it at this point is the lack of hinges. Everything else seems very good, and as far as I've been told, the final end user production units will be even better than this, so go out there and have some great fun with this outstanding model. Just in case you're interested in any of the items featured here, please check the video description for some of the links, and if you follow the link to my blog post on the plane, you will find the full parts list. Also keep in mind that buying anything via those links would help support me and my channel, because literally that is how I make my living, so I'm counting on you guys to keep doing this. I would like to give a wholehearted thank you to everybody who has supported me so far, and to those who will continue to do so, especially my Patreon supporters, for giving me the peace of mind of a somewhat regular income. If you would like to see more regular updates, you can also follow me on Facebook. Don't forget to like and subscribe here if you haven't already. And with that, I'm going to wish you a pleasant viewing, happy and safe flying, and until next time.